All right, let's call this meeting to order. Skip, would you mind doing the pledge for us?
Please turn and face the flag and introduce. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have invocation by Pastor Keith Capizzi of Club Zion.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you, we bless you, and we are beyond privileged to be able to come before you and seek your direction, your wisdom, and your guidance in this meeting. I pray that, Lord, all things be done decently in order. I pray for our city leaders, Father, you give them wisdom tonight, discernment and insight in all their decisions, that there be a calm and a peace in this meeting tonight. And I pray for all those who are present, Father, that we all be an example to one another of how to conduct business in this city. And I thank you, and I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
City Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Hutcherson.
Here.
Commissioner Tumulty.
Here.
Vice Mayor Williams. Mayor Capizzi.
Here. Want to make a motion for the agenda?
Agenda is published.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Any public comments about items that are not on the agenda? Go ahead, Rick.
Hi, everybody. Rick Anderson, 1800 Minutemen Causeway, and I'm lucky enough. Just came back from a 2-week trip over in Europe. Unfortunately, I missed the 250, which was not planned. I figured that out after we booked the trip. But and I was in Brussels, Belgium, the night that Belgium was playing in the World Cup, and it was the greatest party I ever crashed. But the point of what I'm about to say is I spent a lot of time in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands, half of the country lives between 2 and 4 meters below sea level, and they've been living this way for centuries, in the windmills and so forth. And after a breach of the dikes in, I believe, 1958, they embarked on a 30-year project to protect themselves in the event of like a 5,000 or 10,000 year storm. So I'm thinking, sitting here in Cocoa Beach, as we're sitting here debating the issues of the day, that we're one wave away from catastrophe. And I really would like to think that maybe at some point, some kind of a conversation can be opened up, and maybe draw on the knowledge from other places that might be able to help us mitigate or prevent a catastrophe like that. Thanks.
Thank you, Rick. Any other public comments or about items that are not on the agenda? All right, this closes public comment. Staff reports.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Brooks, can you come up, please? I would like to introduce to the community and the Commission our new Public Works Director, Brooks Webb. Mr. Webb brings more than 30 years of progressively responsible experience in public works, infrastructure management, and municipal operations. He served as the Public Works Director for the city of Laramie, Wyoming, where he led a multidisciplinary department of 85 employees responsible for engineering, streets, fleet, stormwater, GIS, solid waste, and wastewater utilities. He also oversaw the city's public works capital improvement program and successfully managed major infrastructure projects from planning through construction. Brooks Webb, everybody. So,
Brooks, welcome. Delighted to have you.
Thank you all. Mayor, Commission, as Wes said, I come from the lands of Wyoming, where my normal day of work, I would maybe see an elk or a buffalo and not a dolphin or a manatee. So it's been pretty cool. Anyway, I'm super happy to be here. In the two and a half weeks I've been here, I've met a couple of you, but I've been watching your meetings for months, so I feel like I've met you all. In that two and a half weeks that I've been here, I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of the city staff and observing the way they work, and it's amazing. The team that we have here on city staff is just amazing, and they work really hard every day to improve the quality of life for the residents of Cocoa Beach. And so I'm happy to be a part of that now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Brooks.
I look forward to meeting you more in depth.
okay, Chief Kewen, can you come front and center, please? So, the Florida Police Chiefs Association recently announced Cocoa Beach Police Chief Chris Kewen as the recipient of the Guardian and Warrior Executive Director Award at the Summer Conference of the Florida Police Chiefs Association held in Orlando, Florida. The Guardian and Warrior Executive Director Award was established by the FPCA to recognize those public servants who have made special contributions and shown a steadfast commitment to protecting law and order and upholding our constitutional liberties, or as an emerging leader who has shown dedication to the values the FPCA holds dear, values such as commitment to service, professionalism, integrity, and accountability. This year, Chief Kewen was recognized for his enduring commitment to officer safety and employee wellness. We are extremely, extremely proud of him for this accomplishment. My understanding was that he also received a standing ovation at the conference as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay. Well done. Thank you. Good.
Can we hug him? Can we hug him?
I'm sorry if we raise him right.
Hey, you
Okay.
know we've got the best. It's nice when other people recognize it, too.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief.
Chris,
Thank you, Chief.
I hear nothing but good about you all the time. The city loves you, so thank you for your hard work.
City Manager, Commission.
Thanks. Okay, lastly, we are excited to announce that in this year's state budget, the city was awarded state appropriations for the following projects: a gravity-fed sewer rehabilitation project, a 50% match to $500,000, that will be in FY '27, and a $4 million grant, no match required, for Fire Station 50.
Awesome.
City staff will work with the state on the grant agreements and will bring to the commission for acceptance once received by the granting agency. We are extremely grateful to those legislators who were involved in this process and are especially grateful to our lobbyist, Jason Steele, for his tireless efforts this past session. And that's all I have for tonight.
Question, City Manager, that 500,000 on the gravity sewer, that's in the budget, correct? As we've talked about so far?
Yes.
Cool.
And that's all for tonight. Okay.
City Manager, just to be clear, those were things that were actually out, and due to the efforts of our team, those were brought back into the budget and successfully landed for the city.
They were out a couple times, yes.
Yeah, that's incredible work from the team, and I think Jason Steele was one of the key actors there, right?
Yes, sir.
So, well worth the thanks to him, and he's earning his keep.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
All right. City Attorney.
Nothing tonight.
All right. City Commission. Nothing?
Yeah, I've got some.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Back on the appropriations or the grants that we got from the state, Tyler Soroy was also involved in that as well.
Great point.
And we appreciate his actions in making that happen. And Jason is doing an outstanding job for us, Jason Steele, so I want to continue with that. And that leads me into the Bicentennial Park, which we just did a ribbon cutting last week. I know Commissioner Williams was there, and unfortunately, I know you were out of town, you couldn't be there, Mr. Mayor. But it was a long time coming. Bicentennial Park, you know, obviously has been around a long time. It was never actually named. We kind of, I don't know where the name came from. It just happened several years back, quite a few years back, I guess. But when I was on the Leisure Board, we were approached by Billy Bosch, who's a kite boarder out there, and you know, he said, "Hey, this place is flooding all the time," and you know, you all saw it. Every time it got damp out there, it would flood.
You couldn't even launch a jet ski.
It was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah, you couldn't launch anything. It was terrible. So we created a committee to. I think were you on that committee?
I was one of the original ones with Orson to bring it up, but yeah.
Yeah. So.
And Greg, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so we put a committee together, and that was 7 or 8 years ago. And finally it happened. So we did the ribbon cutting last week. We got grants. It was funded by the state and fine. And it's a great project. And we look forward to, for other projects, working with Fine and the state. So that was a win-win for everybody, I think so. I think our next meeting, when's our next meeting? Is it August 6th or 7th, something like that? School starts soon. I go back to school on the 3rd. We don't have students until the 10th, but we have a muster on the 6th where all the parents come in to register. So get ready for traffic to start picking up. Fortunately, Roosevelt has done a remodel of their traffic issue, and it's going to snake through their parking lot. If you've been down Minutemen, you've seen a lot of construction near Roosevelt. That's what's going on. So they'll get all that information out as to the traffic pattern for dropping off kids and picking up kids and so forth at Roosevelt. So look forward to that. That's all I got. Thanks. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Good, it's good.
Yeah, as far as Bicentennial Park, kind of going back to what Mr. Anderson said, one of the goals for that remodel of Bicentennial Park was to raise it up so that, I mean, basically, when we had high water levels and the wind was out of the southwest, the waves would come up the ramp and flood the parking lot, even if we didn't have any rain. So the whole park's been raised 2 feet, and it has a 1.5 feet below it of under the concrete exfiltration for the water to be able to seep into the ground. It has some retention areas, and that plays well with what we've been working on, and the mayor will be aware of this at Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization. For the past 12 years, I've been beating the drum that 520 needs to be raised because it is very susceptible to flooding during storms, and we've had to drive across that road, with water over the road at times. It doesn't last that long, but it's still going to get worse. So it's been moving its way progressively up through the priority system, which is a big deal. They'll have close to 100 items in the county that people want money for. I think we got it up to about number 5 now. It's in the 5-year plan. It's already in the feasibility planning stage, so that the next step would be to get the estimate on what it would cost. And it's, FDOT property, so hopefully the state will fund it and raise that road. And part of the issue to raise it up in priority was our hospital is going to move to Merritt Island, and getting an ambulance or anybody that's just going to the ER across that road in a time when the water's high, we really need to have that road raised. So we're glad to have that. And then I just want to give my appreciation to all the city staff and all the residents and everybody that came out for the 250th celebration we had on July 3rd. We had a lot of fun things going on, had a band, and had the drone show, and the weather cooperated, and everything went great. And just appreciate all the effort behind the scenes to make that happen. That's all I have.
Sure. Let me go with Josh. Go ahead.
Just echoing Commissioner Williams' statement, I think Carrie Lombardo was probably a key anchor in making sure that our 250th celebration was everything it could be. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Well done across the board. Staff worked tirelessly the entire day. Very, very warm day, but what a fantastic celebration. Thank you to Carrie. Just excellent job.
Appreciation for Marcus. I appreciate the reports you send consistently every Friday. I've used those several times for residents, just directly forwarding that, just keeping good tabs on the maintenance. It's the small things that matter. I think residents really appreciate that, so thank you for that diligent. He sends out weekly reports on Friday of what all his teams accomplished, so thank you for that.
Okay. echo everything that everybody said. You know, city staff for doing that 250. That was a huge event. I think you said 15,000 people attended.
Plus or minus, yes?
Somewhere around there. That's the biggest we've ever had. It's Jason Steele, Tyler Soroy, absolutely champions for us. So I want to recognize them as well. Debbie. And thank you for all your work at the school too. I know that's going to be coming up. So I also want to recognize Don from Canaveral. Thanks for coming out to one of our meetings. And this is going to be one of our more heated meetings, probably because it's budget. This is probably the most controversial meeting of the year for us. So you get to see how we work. That's it for me. So let's see. All right, budget.
Okay, this is item 1. Staff is requesting that the City Commission set a proposed millage rate of 6.1644 for the fiscal period 2027. Staff Representative Hannah Juman. Finance Director Westmoreland. City Manager. Recommendation approved.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Motion and a second. That's all.
Presentation.
Hopefully, that's no indication of
No.
thunder for how the, budget portion will go. Just our luck. Okay, good evening, Mayor Commissioners. Staff plan and prepare for fiscal year 27 budget. There's been many discussions on the current state of our financial health, in addition to the potential for revenue loss contingent on the state amendment and the number ballot. Thank you. The intent of this presentation is to set the maximum millage rate to be used in balancing the fiscal year 27 budget. The presentation is going to include the process involved with setting the millage rate, along with the rate options that are available to us, and other various comparisons showing the impact on the taxpayers and how the city compares to other municipalities within the county. Setting millage. So setting the millage is a stringent 3-step process set forth by Florida statutes for all of the taxing authorities within the state. Each year, beginning on July 1st, there's a process called truth and it's frequently referred to as the TRIM process. This begins with the property appraiser certifying the taxable values, and then at that point, the city is required to report the maximum millage set that's going to be determined within this meeting to the Florida Department of Revenue by August 3rd. Once the rate's set by the commission, it legally cannot be exceeded. The next steps thereafter are adopt the millage rate and the budget together. The first meeting that we're going to hear the 10th millage with the budget is going to be on September 3rd. And then the final millage will get adopted at the second hearing on September 17th. The hearing dates that are set are required not to conflict with the county and school board dates. Okay. Based on the new taxable value, the rollback rate provided was 5.9988. The rollback rate generates the same revenue amount as what was received in fiscal year 26, or current year, at the rate of 6.000. The difference in revenue between the current rate and the rollback rate is the difference of 0.02%, or just under $4,000. The rate in proposed consideration is 6.1644. This is also the rate that was adopted by the commission. The budgets used for fiscal year 2022 through fiscal year 2025. At this rate, it's 2.76% above the rolled back rate, or around a $531,000 increase. The final rate at the bottom shown, the max millage rate, this is a rate allowed this is the rate provided Florida Department of Revenue that's allowed for a 4-1 or 2/3 vote. This is, anything higher than that amount would be a unanimous vote by the commission. Okay, this slide, it shows the taxable value has increased by 2.41% from last year. That equates to about $79 million in property value. For the CRA, taxable values, the increment value, it's used to determine the TIF revenue received. This is shown in the next few slides. Also, I'll show the calculations based off of the 3 different rates. Okay, the next 3 slides, they show the effect on the homesteaded taxpayer. This slide, currently it shows the rollback rate of 5.9988. The current rate, 6 even, and the proposed rate, 6.1644. Those are the next 2 slides. But since the rollback rate and the current rate have the difference of 0.02% or 4,000, you'll notice that on this slide and the next slide, they look really similar because of that. It's broken out by what the monthly impact would be and the annual impact would be at the different taxable value levels. So, for example, at a rate of 5.9988 and a taxable value of $300,000, the impact to the taxpayer would be $150 a month. Out of the 5.9988 millage rate, we would receive approximately $1.3 million towards the CRA for the TIF funding. The next slide is at the proposed millage of 6. Just as I stated before, this slide is almost identical to the previous rolled back amount because the variance is so minuscule. But you'll see the impacts of the homesteaded taxpayer on that slide as well. And then finally, for the proposed rate of 6.1644, based on the taxable value of $300,000, annual tax amount will be about $1849. This will break out to a monthly amount of around $154. With that, the CRA contribution would be around $1.4 million. Okay, this shows the difference between the proposed rate and the rollback rate. If the commission chooses to adopt the proposed rate, the impact to the taxpayer would be around $4 a month or $49 per year based on the $300,000 taxable value. If there was a taxable value of a $900,000 home, the annual difference would be around $150 a year with this proposed increase. Okay, this pie chart, this represents the distribution of taxes levied by property type. As you can see, around 31% of the ad valorem revenue received, it's allocated to residential homesteaded properties. For non-homesteaded properties, it's around 55%. For commercial, around 13%, and then vacant lots, 1%. And this is based off of the data received from the property appraiser's office. Millage comparisons. So this is where we get to compare ourselves and where we are compared to our neighboring municipal governments in Brevard County. For the city shown on this slide, we rank it in ascending order, and right now we're one of the lowest. We're in the top 4 lower millage rates. Meanwhile, I want to correlate it to the tourist volume that we receive within the city, with more than 2.5 million tourists each year and a lower population of 11,300-ish. Population-wise, we're most alike to Satellite Beach. They're also, of course, a beachside community, and they currently are operating at a 7.9 millage rate. Most of the comparables that are shown, they're proposing right now to stay at their current rate or dropping slightly, but are remaining well above the rolled back rate. These communities are already operating at higher millage rates, and they're not having to correct for any past financial decisions or situations that they're in when it comes to rebuilding and restoring the reserves. The first line, currently one of the lowest rates, Cape Canaveral, they're actually proposing to increase their millage rate to 10 even for their fiscal year 27 budget. For Cape Canaveral, that would mean a 203% increase. I believe it's on their July 21st meeting. But
I thought that was a typo.
No, that is on their agenda for their meeting.
Any insight to like I mean, clearly that's an outlier. I mean, other than,
It would never pass.
It would have to be unanimous vote for
but
them.
any insight to what's driving that? Is it a reserve recovery, or is they've got some massive capital project, or we don't know?
I'm not sure of
Let's
this
don't speak.
particulars.
Okay.
Focus on ours.
Yeah, I just wanted to include it as one of the comparisons, but not sure on specifics. So with the proposed amendment on the November ballot, municipal governments are left with uncertainty of the impacts and what will be faced with ahead. Right now, what we're projecting, if the amendment was to pass, is an impact to our revenue decreasing on year one by around 2.3 million. That's after the homestead exemption is increased to 150,000. On year two, when it's increased to 250,000, we're facing a financial impact to the revenue by around 3.1 million.
Is that additional to the one?
No, that's collectively,
Collect.
yes. As an example, for like our current 2026 budget, right now, we're receiving around 19 million revenue in ad valorem revenue specifically, and of that, 15.7 million is allocated towards public safety services. So if we were to take the amount that we're receiving now, the 19, and we were to reduce it by 3.1, we would just barely be covering, if at all, the cost of public safety services. We also would have to bear in mind that in the next 2 years, the cost of those services would increase with any agreements in place because they are associated with union positions, and also pension obligations that we would have to comply with to make sure that those are in healthy balances. As we discussed in the June workshop, we've also been dipping into the reserves continuously the past few years, and the budget that I hope to present to this commission in the next workshop is one that's balanced, and it's a true fiscally responsible budget where it's not based off of operating at a deficit. I feel that the most responsible way to have a budget and what we would like to present to you guys is a budget where our revenues exceed our expenses, and the revenues are true revenues. They're not overstated in any way. It's an honest budget, and we want to be able to get the city back to a good financial standing with appropriate reserves there for any emergencies. We saw earlier this year just what a 10-minute microburst could do and the damage that could cause, and how detrimental something could be. And we know with FEMA or any federal assistance funding, if there are hurricanes, whatever it may be, it takes a lot of time for those reimbursements to come in. So I just want to make sure the city, if there was something to happen, we are able to sustain. Does the commission have any questions?
I do on the last point that you made about FEMA.
Sure.
Several years ago, got hit by Matthew, and we didn't get refunded by FEMA for like 5 or 6 years. So the reserves it's very important that we have the reserves. And just want to make that point that FEMA doesn't just come in and say, hey, you're down $5 million and you can't operate your city and you have no revenue, so here's $5 million. They don't do that.
Right.
They are like an insurance company, and you've all dealt with insurance companies where they push you and push you and push you and say, oh, we'll give you this, and you have to go somewhere else and get a private adjuster and come in. We don't do it that way, but it just takes forever. Seems like it takes forever. So the reserves are very important, and thank you for recognizing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Through our audits provide the actual figures to us, and for our general fund that we have the ordinance 1681 in place for, based on fiscal year 2024, the audit provided that we had around 18 million in reserves. For the fiscal year 2025 audit, it was then reduced to about 12.6 million. So that just shows the pattern of what has happened in the past and the action necessary to restore those reserves.
And I know the valuations are changing as dynamic, but is there a ballpark number? So when we pass the ordinance 1681, it adds an extra 1% every year to those reserves. So we are accumulating reserves this year over last year. What is the value of that 1%? 100,000, 300,000?
Yeah, around 100,000, so it's 19 million that's allocated towards non-committed reserves, and right now in this budget, it's 4% allocated to committed reserves, and that increases by 1% up until fiscal year 2029.
So every year, it's going to be 200-ish, automatically growing the reserves.
It'll continue to increase, but the percentage, it's based off of the expenses in that budget year.
Right.
So it's your personnel, your operating, your debt obligation, it does not include capital, but it's
Right.
that percentage of that total. So it's kind of a moving target, and it fluctuates based upon the total budget amount that's being requested.
And I know you've done a lot of work in working to prepare the budget as well as to fix some of the things that we found that were before your time. With Sprint and the 6.14, I just want to make sure I understand them correctly. Both of them have you presenting a budget, or you're looking to present a budget where we are adhering with our rules and goals for the reserves. The 6% should get us there and have us in a position where we are, the difference there between the 6 and this 6.14, as all the puts and takes continue to evolve, and as Commissioner Hutcherson was saying, is dynamic, the 6.14 is a confident position that puts us in living within our means and spending less than we're taking in. Okay.
Describe some of the options we have if we get into a pinch and need to rebalance or amend the budget. We could use unused capital budget. Like, say a hurricane hits, if we have not consumed any capital budget, we could amend the budget and shift that money over and use it for the emergency, correct? Or is that not
It's kind of situational, so it would be dependent on where those projects are. If they are in process, if they aren't in process, it would just be dependent on what exactly is budgeted, what that project is, and if they're at a point where they can halt that project altogether. I feel like it could be an option, but it's kind of a risky
got it.
option
I
if
got
it's
it.
already something that's been mobilized and in process. It may end up long-term costing more than what you,
if you've already started it? Yeah.
Correct.
Got it.
it's just, there's so many different variables that kind of tie to that.
So your question is basically, can we dip back into our funds, our capital, our money that's been set aside for capital funds?
We already
Which is-
went down that road.
Which is exactly what we did with the city hall. And we're not going to do that again, as far as I will never vote for that
Well,
again.
none of us voted for that.
Yeah,
That
well,
wasn't-
I'm talking right now,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sorry, Mr. Mayor, but if you'd like to
No, I agree with you, I'm
speak,
saying.
I'm saying. Well, but that's exactly what happened. Approximately $6 million was taken out of reserves for this building, rather than getting a bond. So our responsibility, from my perspective, is safety, security of the residents of Cocoa Beach, and also the infrastructure of Cocoa Beach. We've pushed back and kicked down the roads, basically. We have done no road repair for, I'm not sure how many years, 4 or 5 years?
I think
Just
it's
give me a
about
number.
5, yes.
5 years. If we continue down that path, we're going to be back to where we were when this city was incorporated, where we had dirt roads. And we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't know about the other commissioners. I don't. But if we do continue to use our reserves and use capital expenditures for those reserves, that's what's going to happen. I do have one question for you, Anna. On slide proposed millage rate for fiscal year 2027, you have the rollback rate, the current, or the 6.0, 6.164. I believe it's slide 4. Under each of those, you have requires a particular vote. On the rollback, you have requires a majority vote. Is that correct? It only requires 3-2 vote
3-2
for a
vote.
rollback.
Correct. Yeah, it's a 3-2 vote for the rollback, and then 4-1 for all of the other rates that are listed underneath. Any rate implemented
thank you.
beyond 6.5, it's unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think actually Commissioner Hutcherson, you were saying the exact opposite of what Commissioner Tumulty just said. You were saying that if we needed money and didn't have it in the reserve, we could de-obligate from existing projects and potentially resource that as covering a disaster. Opposite of what Commissioner Tumulty was referencing of using reserves to cover projects, correct? I just want to make sure.
That's not what I said.
You referred to us using what was, instead of using having reserves, we spent that on a project, correct?
No, I'm saying, he said that we have capital money set aside for expenditures, and we could use that for reserves. That is what he said. That's what I asked he said.
De-obligate the capital expenditure.
Right.
That's
in
what
an
he said.
To meet
In an
the
emergency.
emergency.
Right, and
Right.
what we had
Instead
done
actually having,
was to
instead of
use
actually having
money that should
reserves,
have been reserves.
instead of actually
to pay
having
for
reserves
planned
there.
projects. Those are
using
different.
the-
I think Josh is talking right now. Go ahead, Josh.
I was just saying that I think
Thank you.
I think it's pointed.
I was still
that
talking.
That it's a difference, that to plan projects and execute projects with money that should have been in reserves is different than if we had a disaster. And to use money that, if our reserves are insufficient, to try to recover from this. I thought that was a salient difference.
Tim, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if we don't have reserves, then we're going to, and we have a disaster, then we're going to have to use that money for capital expenditure that we had set aside to redo our roads or sewer plant or whatever else capital expenditures we have, whether it's City Hall or police station, fire station, which we have had in the past. So basically, you're setting aside capital expenditures as a backup for reserves.
No, well, number one, I didn't vote to fund this with cash. I was the only one that didn't. Right, that was approved in '25. Make that clear, I did not vote to burn $6 million in cash. I was
Neither
the
did
one
I.
vote.
I don't think any of us did, actually.
No, that was in the 2025 budget, that there was no debt proceeds for City Hall. And I voted no. So we've got this shortage of reserves, which you can debate whether it's short, right? We did the right thing. We said, hey, let's step these up 1% a year, which is the diligent thing to do. I asked Hannah the question today is, to build reserves, I get it. I'm the most fiscally concerned one up here. Would we prefer to just have discretionary reserves set aside in this case where we're growing them? Or do we want to obligate them with a 1%, make that a 2% growth every year? So it's obligated, it has to be reserved. Because what happened with City Hall, we had the reserves, but they were accessible to burn as cash. And that's exactly what happened.
They weren't supposed to be. Like, it
I
wasn't-
didn't approve the 2025 budget. You guys can look at the page. It was burned as cash.
Go ahead.
On the City Hall.
Go ahead, Skip.
Well,
That has nothing to do with burning the cash.
Go ahead, Skip.
Hannah, what's our current credit rating for the city?
We haven't went out to debt since the construction of this building, so I would have to get with our financial advisor, seek debt proceeds to get that estimate.
Well, it was A+ or AAA, but
I would say it's the same currently.
I would imagine it's the same. So instead of going down this road where we have to find capital money that hasn't been far enough along in the project phase to have burnt money that we don't want to stop because now it's going to cost us that upfront money, and if you already obligated the money to a contractor to do the work, then you're really in trouble if you try to back out a contract. It's going to cost you more than finishing the project. I'm a professional project manager. I know how that goes. But an option versus cutting the capital projects, especially for a disaster, where we currently have contractors, well, we should after this meeting, on board to help with cleanup, which includes the FEMA inspectors that follow along the truck and figure out how much cubic foot stuff they got and which went to the landfill and all that. Okay, it takes 5 years. But you could, if you're running short on reserves, you could go bond, and if you did a 10-year bond, then you're only paying part of it in that year coming up, not the whole, you don't have to eat the whole thing, you don't have to, all your little projects coming ahead, you put out the bond, and then when you get the money back from FEMA, you pay off the bond.
Sure. My only concern with that would be under an emergency situation to get the bond agreement executed. It would be a lengthier amount of time than what we would need. The other consideration is, from what I'm seeing from Florida League of Cities, if the referendum was to pass in the November ballot, one of the things that we'll see changing in a local government is the bonds that are available to us, because the rates are going to increase because of the debt worthiness for local governments. The way that lenders are starting to view local governments is that they have uncertain revenue streams because ad valorems support most of the municipal governments throughout Florida. So they're saying that if it passes, there would be different impacts when it comes to any future debt obligations that we seek.
But it could be an option, and it would be banking on FEMA's going to do what they always did, which is eventually reimburse us. So for bond rationale, that could help smooth having to take a big hit in the near term. And I just want to, show that as an option.
Hannah, question. So the 9 million, right, we have 23% saved in reserves. Ballpark, how long is that operating? Is that 9 months, a year?
3.
I would say
No, I
about,
think it's
about 3. It depends on what was happening within that month, because some of the considerations, if there was like an emergency, we don't know if that's the same time frame of when our debt service payments are due. So there's a few different parameters in place, but I would say on average about 3 months.
That's
Would a bond be a lower rate than an actual loan for a capital project?
Most of the loans that we have are for, if it's a water-related project, they're SRF loans. Otherwise, they're bonds, municipal bonds. So the rates are all a little bit different when it comes to local governments. What I'm seeing
for an
right now
emergency.
is around like 4.5% is the average municipal bond.
But speaking of the state revolving fund, they would be, I would think, amenable to know that we're going to get our money back from FEMA. They can lend us money a little quicker, and then we could, we have to pay them back while we're waiting on FEMA, but it wouldn't be like the big chunk all at one time where we have to cancel all our unobligated cap projects.
Those loans for the state revolving fund wouldn't be available to us because they're specific for water quality and infrastructure projects. So
Well,
those.
If we got limbs down all over the city and we can't afford a contractor, that's going to affect the water quality of the city. So anyway, and if this referendum does pass, that state revolving fund is going to realize that they, laid the rotten egg, and they may have to change their rules to keep some cities afloat, especially the ones that take big hits from any future disasters.
Clearly, they don't care about the cities. So that's where we are.
You ready for public comment?
Just a
Let me
quick
see if
question.
you go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't-
No, I was going to say if anybody else on the council wants us to talk.
I think Commissioner Williams has an interesting thought. Does it cost us money, were we to realize some type of incident and need cash relatively quickly, and as the costs were accruing, does it cost us anything to pursue a bond? Where we could hold our reserves, pursue the bond, if we were able to get it in time, not spend reserves, spend the bond, but if just in terms of a protocol that the city could consider, does it cost anything to pursue the bond other than the time it takes?
Not that I'm aware of.
So, not a bad idea to at least try if we find ourselves in that situation.
That's in the future.
Hopefully
Are
not.
cities able to get line of credits, basically, as a residents are able to get lines of credits based on their assets?
No.
Okay. Any other comment on commission? Afterwards, okay. We're going to take public comment now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thanks.
Any public comment about this item? Anybody? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Caroline.
I'm Carolyn Willis from De Leon Road. I wanted to discuss how we should strongly consider setting the millage rate to the highest proposed value of 6.1644 for the following reasons, and some of them you already said. But right now, at this meeting, the commission is just picking a millage value to set the cap. The actual millage rate is not set in stone until September. So this gives the Cocoa Beach Financial Department the ability to explore all possible millage rate options fiscal year 27 while developing the budget. Second, at the end of fiscal year 2025, and you guys already kind of brought this up, there was a negative fund balance of $6.9 million in the 310 fund, the Capital Improvements Project Fund, because it was voted not to put out for debt the entire cost of the new City Hall. This caused the closure of the 310 fund, which in turn caused a negative $6.9 million balance to be absorbed by the general fund, decreasing the city general fund reserve balance by $6 million in FY25. So because of this, staff has already deferred more than $5 million in capital improvement projects from fiscal year 27 to later years. And one of these projects is paving roads. Deferring capital improvement projects could help us out this year, but it's not necessarily a sign of a healthy city financial climate. Staying on top of important capital improvement projects such as paving roads is a sign of a healthy city financial climate, which plans in place to execute them in an efficient manner. Another issue, like we were talking about the reserve, the city ordinance 1681 that we put in place when I was in the commission dictates the reserve requirements for emergency purposes. The city must comply with these requirements every year, and the reserves to be at 19% of the general fund. Setting the cap to the proposed millage rate of 6.1644 would give the city an additional $527,000 to put towards the reserves. We're rolling it back to the millage rate of 5.998 or keeping it at 6.0, only provide an additional $4,000. Keeping the millage rate the same or rolling it back would be irresponsible budgeting for our city. In our current state, we need to make it a priority to grow our reserves, not only because of Ordinance 1681, but also for the unseen emergencies and disasters, which Tim even mentioned. When I was on the commission, we had the hurricanes, and it takes FEMA years to reimburse the cities, and we're thankful to have the reserves for these emergency situations, hurricanes and floodings and pop-up tornadoes. And another reason to raise the millage rate is due to the state amendment that will most likely be passed in November that will increase the homestead exemption for residential properties, and that would restrict city.
Go ahead.
Okay, we go. That would restrict city usage of ad valorem revenue. The first year that this would be in place is projected to impact the city by losing $2.3 million in revenue, and by year two, $3.3 million in revenue. Just got one more.
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
The city is currently in a critical position now due to the general fund absorbing $6.9 million balance, and as well as a property tax reform amendment. Revenue impacts remain difficult to forecast, especially in these times, and we have to allow ourselves the greatest ability to acquire revenue in these uncertain conditions. So, please think, and some of you guys already talked about some of these things, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Go ahead, Greg.
Greg Lund, 411 Barilla Lane. I think what burns me the most about this whole situation with the $6 million is the fact that we've had to postpone projects that could add millions of dollars of revenues to the city because we have to pay that money back. I mean, I'll give you an example. The driving range enhancement project had the potential now for the next 3 years to bring in probably $2 or $3 million in revenue to the city, and it's been kicked down the road, and it probably isn't going to happen until 2028, 29. We have to start looking at other ways to raise revenue in the city instead of finding ways to cut back and kick projects down the road. And I think, that's what's got me so upset and wanting to run for a commission seat, because I just don't think that we're looking in the right direction. We should be the most profitable city in Cocoa Beach. We have the resources to do it. We have the infrastructure to do it. We have a port with 20 million passengers going through it. We've got a space center with billions and billions of dollars, and we have to find a way to tap into that revenue source. And it's just irritating that we're losing revenue instead of making money.
Thank you, Greg. Let me just correct you on a couple of those points right there. While I got him in my mind, because I'll forget, that 6 million was never voted on us. That fund was only to be allowed to be used by the commission under a commission vote. It was not used properly. So just want to throw that out there. We did not vote to fund. We voted to only go out to 3.9 million, and supposed we had the money for the rest. The golf course thing was not proposed until this year, so that wasn't. I tried to bring that in when I first got on. Nobody was really interested, so that we didn't miss revenue on that because it was never proposed until just recently. So I just want to put that out there. You want to say something?
Yeah, we have to say something. So, okay, so the issue is, did we burn cash in 2025, which, again, I didn't vote for. The previous speaker did, and the debt payment on that would have been about $400,000. And now we're saying, let's spend another $570,000 to recover those reserves. So I did not vote for that, to spend cash reserves. I want to make that crystal clear. So I don't know what the disconnect was, thinking it was going to be debt finance, but I didn't vote for it. The commission was up here, did 4-1. And now instead of financing the city hall, which would have cost us $400,000 a year at that interest rate, we're now saying, hey, let's recover that with a tax hike that's going to cost the residents $575,000. So that's not a good trade.
This commission did not vote on that.
No, 25.
It was budgeted in 25, it was 24.
24, 25.
All right, 24, I was not on the commission.
Piece. I didn't vote for it. Let's put it that way, on either one of those budgets.
I understand.
Okay. Public
And-
comment.
and-
saying
and I have
burn
one more
cash.
comment if I can.
Let's go ahead.
So say that this money was just there, available. You knew where the money come. You knew it was $12 million for this building. You got a grant for approximately $4 million or $5 million. There was two different grants, I believe. And then there was just this money there available. It was just available, and that's what we spent, because we didn't want to go into debt, because that's what you ran on. We don't want to go into debt. We don't want to have any more debt. Bottom line, no debt was the bottom line for a couple of folks' campaigns. And that is not how municipalities work. They don't work the same. Budgets don't work the same as a personal budget. And if we want to go into that, I'll give a presentation on personal budgets versus municipal budgets, and they are two different animals. Basically, by financing it, or by not financing it, everyone that lives in Cocoa Beach right now paid for City Hall. Everybody just paid for City Hall. If you finance it, it's pushed out for whatever the term of it is, 20, 30-year term. And so your kids, grandkids will be paying for this building because they're going to be using it down the road. That's the purpose of financing and getting bonds to pay for capital expenditures. That's why they do it. That's why typically, or 90+% of municipalities get a bond or loan to pay for large capital expenditures, and it is paid for throughout the term of that loan. Just like when you buy a house, you can't just afford to buy a house. I mean, if you're financially just got all kinds of money, you can just go buy a house, I guess, when you're 20 years old. But typically, you work, you get good credit, you get a loan, and you pay for it for the next 20 to 30 years. And if you can pay it off quicker, great. But not necessarily if that interest rate is low enough that the money you have in reserves is earning more money than the interest rate that you're paying on that particular loan. You have good credit, you have bad credit. So that's all I got to say about that. At this point, I know there's going to be more conversation in this meeting. I'm pushing to, as former Commissioner Willis stated, we need to set the millage rate at 6.1644. We can adjust it, but if we set it today at 6.0, there's no adjusting. It is what it is. It's a done deal as of today.
My experience.
So there you have it, and that's all I got to say about it. At this point.
Go ahead.
My experience is whatever gets set as the maximum was what gets adopted. We don't cut for the next 6 weeks, so
That
I
is
would say what we vote tonight is what's going to be the final.
Whatever we,
Okay.
it's rare that you would ever accept less than what you're able to take. So I will agree with you on that. Any other public comment? Yeah, go ahead, Caroline. Usually it's one time, but go ahead.
I just wanted to address that what the commission voted for in '24 was to not put the debt out for City Hall. And I didn't vote for that. I said, no, I want to put it out for debt. And that the fact that it was not put out for debt created this problem.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
that was not what happened. So I just want to clarify that.
There's more moving pieces, but yes.
Not really.
All right, any other public comment? All right, we're going to close public comment, and then we'll go back to commission comment. I want to say something. The 6.1644, obviously, if we accept that, then we can guarantee that entirety of the additional income would go towards debt, not towards debt, towards reserves. That would make me amicable to voting for this, because knowing that the increase that we'd be increasing is 100% going towards funding our reserves. I would like to add on to that. I would also like to, I'm sorry, Skip, but I would like to not pursue with the ADA park at this time and put that towards reserves as well, knowing that that park will absolutely never produce revenue for us. It's just not a good time. It's better to be in reserves or to go towards roads or stuff like that.
You're gonna close the pool, it doesn't make any money for us, so you're gonna close the golf
Well,
course? If
after
it's in
November,
red?
who knows what's gonna happen?
But they do. It's an amenity that's already
Okay.
existing.
Okay, as far as I'll just jump in, as far as the ADA park goes, we made a commitment, and we spent money on the design phase to solidify the federal government to go ahead and deed us that property. I don't want to send a message to them that we're not going to go forward on that project and lose the property. So I want to leave it in, and it's in there, and I choose to leave it in there. And when it comes to the next phase, once we have the property deeded to us, if we need to stretch it out a little bit, then we can stretch it out. And plus, there's other revenue sources that can make up that, estimate that the city came up with of what it would cost. There's grants to be had from ADA. I think I will take it upon myself, be on the commission or not on the commission, to work every angle to bring in money for that. But if we don't keep it going and get the deed, then we're never going to have it. It's an amenity. In my time in this seat at this dais over the years, I've had so many people that are disabled that want a place where they can get to the beach and go out and have a level place to go and a overlook to be able to, spend time at the beach. And they'll be able to do that at that park in the current way that it's phased. And I guess while I'm up here, I'm a little of a strategic long-term thinker. You guys know I've been here a long time. If you go to the last slide, please, Karen. All right, you can see the names of all those cities. Those are just the cities in Brevard County that would be affected by this referendum that's going to be put out in November for a 60% vote to approve to increase the property tax exemptions over the next few years until they eventually eliminate. And I'd like to send a message to all these cities by going to the rollback rate, which is 4% less than what we're making now, and show our residents that we're willing to be more efficient as a city with the tax dollars we get from ad valorem. And then hopefully these other cities will follow our lead and lower their ad valorem taxes. And maybe that'll change the sentiment of voters to not vote for that 60%, because sooner or later, they're going to figure out that all the services that they're used to having are no longer going to be available to them. You put in a building permit, it's not going to be 3 days or a day and a half or 2 days to get a building permit. It may be 2 weeks, and time is money, especially for contractors and businesses that are trying to do things, that are get contracts with people and say, okay, I'll get the building permit, I'll be starting in like a week. Well, I got to wait for the building permit, and by that time the whole deal could fall apart. So we send that message, go to the rollback rate, $4,000 reduction from this year, run a little more efficiently, get the message out that if this referendum passes, that we will not be able to provide the services that currently are enjoyed by our residents and our businesses in the city of Cocoa Beach. And hopefully that message will spread beyond these cities in Brevard County and go into the rest of the state. And if everybody else, I know it's a long shot, shows that they're going to be more frugal with their funding, then there's a chance that they won't get the 60% threshold on the votes, as long as they know what it's going to cost them in services that they currently enjoy. So I'd like to move to set the proposed millage rate to the rollback rate of 5.9988%, and I'm looking for a second.
And that's with keeping your park in there? It
We're
was $1
voting
million,
on
$1 million
We're voting
for
on the
that park,
rollback.
right?
We're voting on the
This year?
rollback rate. I didn't get a second. Did I get a second?
I'll second, just to have discussion.
So you want to take away the extra 531,000, and you also want to still spend another $1 million on top of that? It's either or. I would maybe go with you on a 5.89888.
But we haven't figured out
If you
where
weren't
that-
spending $1 million on a park that's a nicety, not a necessity.
Look, we don't know what it's going to cost until we finish the design phase, and we don't know what monies are available for us to fund that beyond it coming out of the city coffers.
What was in the draft budget, the full $1 million, was in the budget we had at workshop 1, right?
It's $1.5 million.
The full amount was in
But it's
there.
over 2 years.
Got it.
But we're not going to be spending that money
Right.
right at
That's
the
your
beginning
rollback
of
right
this
there.
year, okay? So we can leave it in, and then the next commission can do what they want, but let's get the property, let's have the vision, and give me a chance to go out and solicit funding and grants.
I will vote for that if you pull back the park. That's the only way that I can justify it.
Well,
So roll back and
Why
drop
don't
the
you-
park in reserves?
I'll go rollback if you drop the park, because we can't afford to do both. We can't do the park
don't
and
know.
rollback.
why don't you trust me to go out and work to get that funding? I know
You can
I
still
know
do it.
I know a lot of people.
You can still do the park.
Don't pull the funding from the budget, otherwise you're sending a message to the State Department of Parks and Recs, or the Federal Department of Parks and Recs, that we're not serious about making that an ADA park. And they could not follow through with the deed, which is this close to being done.
We could pull the funding and you could still go after the funding for your ADA stuff, and then you'll get your vote. But I can't in good conscience, when we've got a deficit in our reserves to do the park and go to rollback.
Okay.
It's either one or the other.
Okay, here's how it works, and I've been doing this a long time on these budgets. The budget, Hannah and her staff, they don't want to put together, we put it at 6.1644, and they have to bring us a budget at that, because it could be that. Then they got to bring us a budget at 6, because it might be that. And then they got to bring us a budget at 5.99, because it could be that. So they're working 3 different budgets. They're working 3 times, or probably twice as hard, because 2 of them are close together. But I'd just like to give them something right now that we're going to stick with, so they can build a budget around that. We have time for we're not voting on the final budget right now. So between now and when she works on the budget some more, after we give her this number, if that park comes into being a problematic thing, then we'll deal with it then. And all you need is 3 votes to get rid of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else, go ahead if you want to say something, or Josh.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
So I'll,
Go ahead.
yeah, we may be thinking some of the same things. I'll lay out my thoughts and open to further discussion for sure, but the 5.988, a $4,000 difference to the 6%. Principally, I love rollback, right? It's almost a token vote. It's kind of.
Well, if you're going to do
But
the
it's
6, you might as
sending
well
a
do the
message.
rollback.
Well, so.
Send a message that
Or not,
we're
just
willing to
stick
be
with
more
6.
efficient as a
It's sending a message that we
Yeah.
don't care about our residents and don't care about the roads and infrastructure at Cocoa Beach. That's the message you're sending. We're $5 million behind. We've kicked the can down the road on taking care of streets because of the deficit, because of the $6.9 million that we took out of reserves. And now we're in a mess. And you're considering, first of all, bringing up that we're going to do rollback, a second for rollback, and then a discussion like, well, if you do this for me, we'll do rollback. Okay, so maybe I pave my own street. Is that what I need to do? Because how's that going to help a resident, right?
Tim.
No.
Just
Skip,
tell me-
I don't know
just tell
about
me
your
what-
street, but my street is a mess.
Just tell me when you're finished, and I'll.
Well, I'm about to be finished because this is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if I want to be part of this. I mean, it's ludicrous what you guys are talking about.
Are you done? So,
I'm done, Skip.
so
Go
the
ahead.
he's talking about problem next year if we go with the rollback rate. If the referendum passes, the hell that's going to break loose on this city in the following 2 years after that, with the reduction in property taxes, the reduction in services and all that, is going to make this cutback a moot point. I want to send the message that we're willing to cut back and be efficient with our monies, and hopefully the rest of these cities will follow suit. We'll get some press, and it'll go across the state. And when those people go to vote yes or no on that 60%, they'll be informed voters, and they'll know what they're going to lose by voting for it. And we'll do our part by being more efficient.
Problem is that it's not going to send a message because nobody watches these meetings.
I think that the
Well, how
rollback
come everybody knows I said
slightly
shoot them in the
insulting to
foot?
residents, and I don't think
That
we
went
mean it that way.
viral.
But I think it's a token vote, and I think we've got to be a little bit more serious than that. The 6, Hannah has sharpened the pencil, and I think that the 6, and to include the $4,000 difference, I think is plausible in terms of us being able to meet our obligations, right? To spend less than we're making. However, we don't hold the cards, and Commissioner Williams is what you're saying. Right now, and I think, Don, what we heard was it's polling at about 65%, right? The change. And that's where the high water mark is. And generally speaking, that doesn't bode well for a resolution of this type. But this isn't a normal resolution. This is offering to every taxpayer money back in their pocket. And I think that plays different.
Loss of services.
I 100% understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is how people vote and what decisions they make. I don't think that that's going to be affected by decisions we make on $4,000 here. I suspect that if the messaging is pay your fair share or get money back in your accounts, get money back in your accounts appeals to the individual in a strong way. Regardless of whether it's the right idea, it's a good idea, I think it has a decent chance of passing, and I don't think we as a commission have control of that. So that means that's a variable we've got to take seriously in terms of the budget we're voting on now. Principally, when we as a city hold the cards, I am a big fan of challenges, of taking challenges and driving ourselves to be more fiscally conservative and drive ourselves into a position where, let's take the challenge. Let's see if we can hit the rollback. Let's see if we can hit that's not the situation we have. We have a situation where we're looking at $2 and then $3 million worth of cuts. We have a city manager and we have a finance director who are already working to figure that out. I don't think the city of Cocoa Beach goes into some apocalyptic hell. We won't. They're gonna figure it out. They're excellent at what they do, but I don't think it's an ideal situation. And I think the cuts that they're looking at are real and they are painful. We will survive as a city. We will thrive as a city. However, the 6.164 and adding that one from an assurance perspective that we are going to spend less than we bring in, and two, with the variable of this vote, principally, I would tend toward the 6. In context of this situation, I tend toward the 6.1644.
So let me chime in on that. Josh, I think you're absolutely right. As much as like I said, I anticipated to try to go to rollback. I was totally with you, Jeremy, on that. We have a different situation going on than what we would normally have. So we have a different obligation to the residents, I think, than what we want to. We have to do what we need to do. We're not going to be able. If this passes, we're not going to be able to lower the millage rate. It's going to be stuck. So we need to be responsible on this.
We can go down, we can't go up.
You just can't go up.
Well, that's what I mean. We're not, sorry, I said the opposite. We won't be able to go
There's no
up.
recovery.
We won't be able to recover that. We won't be able to go up if we have to. So in that context and understanding, this would be the max ever. You could not raise it again.
For this budget.
For this year.
I have a question for you, if I,
Yeah, go.
well, shouldn't even ask this question. If we did put it at rollback and we said, oh, we changed our mind,
You couldn't.
would it be a 5-0 vote, or does it have to be a referendum or something like that? would
No,
have to
you
happen?
couldn't at this time. For this meeting, it would have to be the maximum, and whatever's set tonight, you can't exceed that amount. So if you were to commit to a lower amount, you wouldn't be able to later change that number and go to a higher amount. It's one of the numbers that we have to file by August 3rd to the Department of Revenue through the TRIM process, and that's one of their requirements set forth in the TRIM process, that once we set this rate as a commission and you vote,
increase.
you can't
Right.
increase beyond that after that
And-
time.
And from what I understand, in the future years, we also will not be able to increase. They put something in place so that we couldn't recoup what we think we're going to lose. Is that correct?
If the referendum passes.
If the referendum passes. At least that's what I thought that
There's a lot of.
I heard. Go
There,
ahead.
there are rumors out there that the legislature is going to do something like that.
Okay.
That's not set in stone
That's
now.
not set in stone yet. Okay.
And it's not going to be.
You know, who knows what's going to
It
happen.
won't be on the
Okay.
ballot.
Okay.
And there's a couple other items, obviously, there's certain things, and we've talked about it, city manager, that the implementation bill could add additional restrictions to the cities in terms of different assessment studies and things like that. So we do need to be smart, and if that passes, and if they put additional constraints, we need to be prudent and think through any of this stuff we would want to do, we need to do now. But then there's also, the following year is going to be, I think it's a 20-year cycle where the Florida legislature puts together a group and reassesses all of the taxes that the state of Florida has and whether they're working as a system and a strategy. I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know what they're going to look at there, but that's something we can't play our cards now knowing that. There's other challenges we may see coming out of that as well. Don't know what they are. But this one's a variable, that's a variable. We need to at least consider that we don't hold the cards on those. And because of that,
So
I think it's
considering,
wise to be prudent.
considering our political climate, what's possible in the future to be voted on, I can't in good conscience vote for a rollback at this point. So, did we do public comment on this yet, or no?
We did.
Okay.
So if he'll withdraw a second, I'll withdraw my motion.
Vote on it.
And I'll change, did you withdraw it?
Yeah, withdraw the second for
Okay.
rollback.
And now I'll withdraw my main and I'll change it to the 6.0. Same as I did last year, 6.0. Look for a second.
I suspect it's going to, I'll second to vote it, but
Well, that'll help.
Why would you second it?
That'll help.
I want to hear
We just
comments.
talked about it.
The mayor.
It's the same thing.
It's the same, it's $4,000, it's not a difference. Any public comment on this?
The vote comes down to, we have a balanced
Vote on
budget at
close.
6. If we want to add reserves up to the 6.1644, we've got commitments that all of that excess will go to reserves.
Where's that written?
So have you actually looked,
She just told us, yeah, go ahead.
have you actually looked at the numbers we're talking about? So how much of an increase in annual taxes would that be for a resident?
Roll back a couple charts, but I don't budget off of what people can afford. I budget off what we need. So that metric is almost irrelevant.
Well, we need a lot more than 500,000.
Agreed, but, so we are paying back.
So you agree. All right. So we're talking $16 per year for a $100,000 assessed value. That comes out to,
Nobody has a $100,000
Yeah,
house.
find a $100,000 house.
right, that's per assessed value. Well, you're right. But they don't have a $100,000. We have several of them. So how much is it? So what's the difference?
500. So you're talking about 150 to 250,000 a year. 100 to 150, $250 a year, I mean, per household, probably.
No, it's an increase. You're absolutely wrong.
So the one other that data point, I think Josh will
So
get
that's
that.
how much it is a month. It's $150 a month.
A year increase. I got it. I got it.
It's
I can hold my own with
$50 for a $300,000 home, assessed value. It's $50 a year. For $600,000, it'd be $100 a year. All right. I'm willing to pay a couple $100 a year to have good roads in Cocoa Beach.
You don't have to have homestead exemption. You could decline that.
I guess I could. I guess I could spend my $6,000 annual salary for, and put that back in the city, which I'm considering doing. Which you should, as a strong conservative, maybe should consider doing as well. Because you're the most conservative one here, Jeremy.
Part of my concern is
You know,
we've raised
saying.
rates consistently every single year since '27, and we didn't have this issue. So why were we raising rates then if we weren't having the discipline to balance the
Well, because what we did,
Every single year from 2017 to '24, the rate, not the housing value, but the rate increased. And we're still in this predicament.
we
So-
built a lot of stuff, police station, fire station, city hall, parking garage, like, all this stuff needed to be paid for, and this is all stuff that's happened within the last, about 10 years? That's why our debt has gone up, that's why our millage rate's gone up, because we have to pay for all these amenities that we had put. But this last time, what we did is we had a debacle, and we need to catch up for it, so we can't go to rollback, because we have to pay off what we screwed up.
Let's call the vote.
So, all right, all in favor of the?
What is the motion?
6.0.
All in favor of the
It's a
six?
roll call, sorry.
Okay, roll call for the 6.0.
Commissioner Jackson?
No.
Commissioner Hutchison?
No.
Commissioner Tumulty?
No.
Vice Mayor Williams?
Yeah,
Mayor Capizzi?
No. I want to make a proposal that we go to the proposed millage rate of 6.1644%.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any public comment on that?
If you have the opportunity to lower this, why wouldn't you set it at the highest rate in the first meeting? It just doesn't make sense, because at least you can go back down after further discussion. That's what I would do.
Thanks, Greg.
That is the highest rate, and
That's-
that was what was proposed by the finance director.
That's the highest rate proposed by the finance director. In Jeremy's defense, he is correct. Nobody ever goes lower than what they can take. So I understand your reasoning behind that. All right, any other commissioners comment? All right. Oh, go ahead, Orson.
Orson Tarver, 178 June Drive. I just want to mention, you guys have brought up the amendment a couple times. It is polling at 65%. There's some additional articles coming out that the resistance is mounting. There's a well-organized campaign against it now. Combination of city officials, bipartisan in nature. And there's also, I believe, there's also a lawsuit currently about the amendment, you probably know, about the amendment's validity. So I'm only offering that because I know 65% does sound very favorable, but I think you guys are going to see this change pretty quickly. I mean, there's just so much information about the impact coming out and articles being written, and it just seems like the headwinds are really building. So just saying to consider, even in light of the polling being very high, which I'm sure is, I mean, it's an accurate number, but I think you're going to see things change pretty quickly. Thanks.
Thank you, Orson. Again, I was right there with you, Jeremy. I hate having to do this, but this is something we have to just put our big boy pants on and do it, in my opinion. So, roll call.
Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Commissioner Hutcherson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smolty?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Williams?
Support.
Mayor Capizzi?
Yes. All right, motion passes 5-0. All right.
Good discussion.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
It is a good discussion. And it's nice to know how you guys are all thinking. So I appreciate your discussion on all that.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Okay, item 2, confirm times and dates to set the tentative and final millage and adopt the budget for fiscal year 2027. September 3rd, 2026, 6 p.m., first public hearing and vote to approve tentative millage and budget. September 17, 2026, 6 p.m., second public hearing and vote to approve final millage and budget. Both meetings will be held at City Hall, 2 South Orlando Avenue, Cocoa Beach. Staff Representative Hannah Juman, Finance Director, Westmoreland City Manager. Recommendation approved.
I move to approve the dates and times for the final millage.
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment? Any commission comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, next.
Next is a special presentation and proclamation, World Drowning Prevention Day, July 25, 2026. Representative Connie Harvey, American Red Cross, and Alex Wolas, Pinch a Penny Pool Company, both members of the Smart Water Task Force commissioned by Governor DeSantis, added July 14th, 2026.
All right. Sorry you had to go through the whole spiel. So let me, I'm going to read this proclamation for you, and then you can come up and grab it. So whereas drowning is one of the top 10 leading causes of unintentional injury-related death globally, claiming an estimated 236,000 lives each year, with children and adolescents disproportionately affected. And whereas in April 2021, the United Nations General Assembly passed resolution declaring July 25th of each year as World Drowning Prevention Day to raise awareness and bring to an end to these entirely preventable tragedies. And whereas everyone has a role to play in keeping our communities safe around water through proven low-cost intervention. And whereas local solutions such as installing barriers to control access to water, providing safe places for children away from water, teaching basic swimming and water safety skills, and training bystanders in safe rescue and resuscitation can save countless lives. And whereas on this day, we unite to honor the memories of those lost to drowning and encourage all citizens, governments, and organizations to turn awareness into action by practicing active supervision, wearing life jackets, and learning CPR. Now, therefore, I, Keith Capizzi, Mayor of Cocoa Beach, do hereby proclaim July 25th, 2026, as World Drowning Prevention Day in the city of Cocoa Beach, and encourage all residents to educate themselves on water safety to prevent future tragedies. Thank you, sir.
You want to take a
Okay, next is the consent agenda. Item 1, approve the June 16th City Commission Budget Workshop and June 18th Commission Meeting Minutes. Staff Representative, City Clerk Department. Item 2, approve the Fourth Amendment to the City of Cocoa Beach's contract with the United States Tennis Association Florida, USTA. This amendment will defer the City of Cocoa Beach's obligation to replace the north side fence until fiscal year 2027 through 2028. Staff Representative Andy Segarra, Leisure Services Director, recommendation approved. Item 3, adopt the updated emergency pay policy for city employees during declared states of emergency. This is an existing policy that requires an annual review and update according to federal, state, and local emergency management guidance. Staff Representative Justin Grimes, Fire Chief, recommendation adopt. Item 4, ratify the following wage reopener for the period of October 1, 2026 to September 30, 2027 between the City of Cocoa Beach and the Florida State Lodge Fraternal Order of Police, Inc., FOP. Staff Representative Cindy DePina, Human Resources Director, recommendation approved. Item 5, ratify the following wage reopener for the period of October 1, 2026 to September 30th, 2027 between the City of Cocoa Beach and Laborers International Union of North America, LIUNA, Local 630, Staff Representative Cindy DePina, Human Resources Director, recommendation approved.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Unfinished business.
Okay, this is item 1, adopt ordinance 1716 on second reading, an ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, amending provision related to the special magistrate, amending section 30-17 to include requirements for the release reduction of liens, providing for conflict severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. Staff Representative Brian Palmer, Deputy Director, Development Services, recommendation adopt on second reading.
Approve K1 as read.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? All right, we already went through what this was on the first reading, so I'm not going to have anybody come up and explain it. Roll call.
Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Commissioner Hutcherson?
Aye.
Commissioner Tumulty?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Williams?
Aye.
Mayor Capizzi?
Aye.
Okay, item 2, adopt ordinance 1722 on second reading, an ordinance of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 9, Fire Prevention, Section 9-6, Penalties, to add a reference to notice of violation, NOV, as a method of enforcement, and to update a code enforcement chapter reference, amending Section 9-14, Classes of Violations and Associated Civil Penalties in accordance with Chapter 31 of the City Code, to correct the chapter reference to Chapter 30, and to add a Class 3 violation for failure to comply with written notices, orders, or directives issued by the fire official, including non-payment of lawfully imposed fire inspection fees after notice and opportunity to cure, providing for codification, conflict, severability, and for an effective date. Staff Representative Justin Grimes, Fire Chief, recommendation adopt on second reading.
Move to approve K2 as read.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? All right, again, this is something that we'd already gone over, so I'm not going to have it re-explained. Roll call.
Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Commissioner Hutcherson?
Aye.
Commissioner Tumulty?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Williams?
Aye.
Mayor Capizzi?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. New business.
Okay, item 1, approve the review committee's recommendation and authorize staff to negotiate a contract with Waste Management under RFP CB 26-008, residential and commercial solid waste services. Direct staff to proceed with either option 1, separate residential and for-cost municipal, or option 2, all-inclusive residential and no-cost municipal cost structure. Staff Representative Taylor Matola, Project Manager, recommendation approved.
Move to approve L1, option 1 as read. And option 1 is segregating city costs to the general fund instead of residential bills.
Move to approve option 2. Looking for a second.
Do we have two motions?
No,
The first one didn't seem to get a second, so.
They didn't have a
Then
lot of
there-
time. Okay.
I'll be happy to give more detail on option 1.
We didn't get a second.
I'll second option 1. I'm interested in the discussion.
Which one?
Option 1. I
Option 1, okay.
would like to hear the
We got a
discussion.
second for option 1. Move to discuss on the option 1. Any public comment on that? Go ahead, Orson.
Just real quick, I mean, you guys want Taylor to talk through like the process and like we why this came to an option 1 or 2.
Would you like
or-
her to speak before you speak?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay,
important for you
go
guys
ahead.
to hear, because I think, aside from Commissioner Hutcherson, who served on the committee with me, I'm not sure how much the rest of you guys are up to speed, so I'm happy to wait.
Yeah, why don't you have a seat, and then we'll hear her, and then you come back up. Thank you.
Good evening. So tonight, the staff is requesting approval of the review committee's recommendation to authorize negotiations with Waste Management for residential and commercial solid waste services, as well as direction on the preferred pricing structure, option 1 or option 2. The 2 Cocoa Beach residents on the review committee prefer option 1. The 3 city staff members on the review committee prefer option 2. Representatives from Waste Management are also here this evening to answer any questions about their operations or their proposals, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have otherwise.
So option 1 and option 2, you've gone through that as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Staff approved option 2, 3 votes, and then option 1 got
Yeah.
2 votes from the committee.
Right, okay, so all staff was in unison that they wanted the option 2?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, could you talk through a little bit about why?
absolutely. So the services on both options are identical. Option 1, single-family and multifamily residents using carts save $22.44, so $22.44 a year, and the city will pay approximately $63,000 for their services per year. Option 2, single-family and multifamily residents using carts save $2.28 a year, and the city pays $0 for their normal collection. There is no cost difference between the options for any other type of customer. Multifamily residents using mechanical roll-offs will save $7.56 a year, and commercial customers have a slight increase in their costs.
Is there any benefit as far as budgeting to separating the city's portion compared to all in one?
If we do separate the services, then the city will lose about $63,000 of revenue each year.
So, but what I was asking is, you couldn't put it into another fund to pay for it. It all comes out in the wash anyways. But you couldn't get like a grant for, let's just say, beach garbage pickup, stuff like that? Okay.
So the logic, Orson brought this up and thought it was a great idea. The logic is it's moving a portion of the services onto a greater cost basis. Folks that pay, folks in town, they spend money, user fees. It's not just on the residents, so it's splitting out the city's costs. Yes, we'll pay it through our general fund payments, but non-homestead exemptions, right? Non-homestead properties pay more per house into that general fund than residents do. So it's taking a burden off of the residents and putting it on the general fund.
It sounds like the kind of
It's an
shift that we've
alternate,
been looking.
it's the alternate revenue source that we always want to look for.
Is there a downside?
Accounting is a little more complicated.
So the $63,000
This is more
comes out of the budget?
Right.
Rather than $1 per resident a month, right?
Right.
Okay, and obviously is it a much bigger headache to separate all that stuff as far as for accounting purposes?
I would have to defer to finance for that.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
It would be the $63,000 revenue loss that would be adjusted on the revenue side of the budget.
Okay.
But Hannah, that is in the budget from workshop 1, correct?
Not the revenue decrease, no. What's there right now is the option based off of option 2.
So then also, if this tax thing comes into play in November, then we take that into account, that's just one more thing that we have to pay for with the loss of revenue rather than a user-based fee. So in light of that, I think I'm going to go with the user-based fee compared to push on to the general fund. It's just because of the uncertainty. Not to say that I wouldn't be amicable to it in the future years, but this year with the uncertainty, I think it makes more sense to keep it user-based.
question. Jeremy, you were at this meeting, so you said that you want to put the onus on the non-residents to pay this. How would you do that?
The fund, what's paid, that portion is paid out of the general fund, which they.
Which is funded by who?
Residents and non-residents, right? So user fees, non-homestead exemptions.
So we would have to raise some sort of revenue to generate that $63,000 to cover it then. Somehow, we'd have to do something.
Right, you would be paying instead of in your water bill. Again, it's an option to alternative revenue sources. If we want.
That's what I'm
to
asking. I'm asking, say you came up with this, Houston Orson came up with this, Ira Orson came up with the idea to split it out, but the $63,000 comes out of the general fund.
Right. That has a larger tax base.
Right.
I like the idea in theory. It just.
But it's not accounted for anywhere.
That was my misunderstanding. I thought we had a provision in there from the first budget workshop, so. That was not my understanding.
All right,
Thank you.
I think that's all for you. Thank you. Orson, would you like to come up and talk?
Good evening, Orson Tarver, 178 June Drive. So I participated in this committee, so thank you, Wes, and I'm sure someone else pointed me onto this, but thank you for having me on there. First off, Taylor and Brad did an amazing job, and Wes supporting them. This is a big deal, like, having these two options. Historically, the residents have always carried the burden of the city costs in the fees on their water bill, essentially. So I think what's important to know is the option one for cost municipal are all these items on here. These are all stub-end streets, various things from pool, recreational, water department, all the city trash services. But I think the vast majority, if you look, a lot of them are the stub-end streets and other things related to, I think, what's fair to say is a lot of visitors come to Cocoa Beach. I understand the city's argument with option two. If we were a town with very little tourism, makes sense. Residents are using the city services at stub-end streets, for example. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, put it on the residents. But I think it's important to understand that, we're a tourism town. We had, overnight visitors. I did a little research, 2.4 to 2.5 million overnight visitors. Number of day trippers is unknown. I wasn't able to figure that out. So when you look at the parking revenue alone, the CRA had 648,000 in 2024. The total for the parking meter fund in 2024 was $3.3 something million. So we have a lot of revenue coming in from not only parking revenue, but we also have recreational fees. We have sewer and stormwater fees, pool, tennis, golf fees. These trash cans you see in trash services map almost perfectly to these additional revenue sources we have from the fees that people pay on the stub-end streets. And we all pay in our parking stickers. Residents pay for their parking stickers. That is money going into the parking fees. It's not just people feeding meters. So, you can look at it as, now you kind of look at it as full-time residents. We have about 11,300. Now, I know Tim will point out, not all of them are residential trash users, but, I can't really break that out. But I think it's important to think that we have, out of the residents, we have about 3,700 that would be classified as full-time retirees in Cocoa Beach. I think it's something to consider is that our retirees have shouldered an amazing financial burden with inflation, fixed incomes, it's tough. So when you look at the difference between option one and option two, it's about $1.68 a month, yearly $20.16. So I agree, probably you guys, me, $20, that's probably what it costs for me to take my boat to Mayor Capizzi's house. No big deal. But if you're retired, can I get bonus time?
Yeah,
But if you're a retiree, $20, I just did, using Google, that's potentially 2 to 3 refills on their copay, 11 loaves of bread, 9 dozen eggs, 4.8 gallons of milk, chicken, 4.8 pounds, 3 pounds of ground beef, regular gas, about 5 gallons. So $20 can cover any of those fees. And finally, if you go to Jonathan's on happy hour, it's about 5 beers. Again, I understand we're not talking about, Well, you're right, tip, so 4 beers and then tip. So, I mean,
So your
I
math
know I'm being a
off.
little bit funny here, and I know that $20 to us is not a big deal, but I think any of you all could feel a little, have some pride and be happy to look any retiree in their eyes and just say, hey, by breaking out the services, using fees from all the sources that we have, coming from all these other things that tourists and also residents enjoy, hey, I mean, $20 in their pocket can mean something to some of these folks who are financially constrained and who are struggling.
This is really helpful. Let me make sure I'm understanding what you're
Yes.
showing us.
Mhm.
So, and I think I was misunderstanding earlier. So when we were talking about the shift in funding, I thought basically what we were saying is, hey, let's get the tourists to pay for my home's roll-off bin. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, but
No.
I'm not sure that's the right move this year, especially. What you're telling me, if I'm understanding this correctly, is that our residents are paying for the solid waste removal of our tourists.
Today's.
That's
the way-
wrong.
Ways historically been done, and I don't know the history behind this. Historically, our residential fees that you pay on your water today cover all these stub-end streets.
These are
All
not
of this.
residential
No,
costs.
not at all.
This should not be covered by our residents. That shouldn't be paid, that shouldn't come out of my roll-off bin.
If it comes out of the city's coffers,
so-
it's the same thing.
Can I just
It's
say?
not,
just-
it's what Commissioner Hutcherson was saying.
Hold on one
is that-
second, let him
I'll
finish.
just close off
Real
real quick.
quick.
So I really would appreciate if you guys voted for option one, having the separate residential city
That's
services.
helpful.
And again, I think, let me just say, I have a mother who's on a fixed income, not in the city of Cocoa Beach. But look, I'm serious, guys. Like, you know, $20 means something to people, you know? And I think you have an opportunity to do the right thing. And I can imagine if any of you guys run into a retiree in Publix or something, hey, maybe someone will be like, hey, man, thanks. I actually watched that city meeting. I know no one really does, but what the heck. So anyways, I hope you guys will vote for it. If not, but thank you for having me on the committee. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Orson.
Brad's here. And also management folks who do a good job on the potatoes and Waste Pro as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, you can finish your.
Thank you. This is exactly the kind of stuff we've been talking about. And I think every time we have the opportunity as a commission to stop residents from having to pay for the tourist, we have an obligation to do that. This, from what I'm hearing from finance and from the team, is that this won't drive cost into the city from the switch, the change, right? But this allows, by switching to this option one, allows us to have tourists and the tourist base driving the cost of, at least part of the cost of what they're causing in terms of city service. That is 100% the right direction.
How does those tourists and all them actually put money into the city budget? They don't.
They do. Oh my gosh, they do.
Now, if you move the $63,000,
Into the general fund, yeah.
yeah.
They pay
the general-
insignificantly to the general fund. I've done the math. Hannah can talk to you about it. They pay in a significant portion of that general fund.
Here's the thing, in this,
Any
real quick.
shortfalls, so-
In this political climate, I just think it's
not how the
not,
math
it's
works.
not the time to do this, although I agree with you. I would do this in the future, but I just don't feel like at this point, putting more money into what we have to pay for the city budget is helpful at this point. I think if we get caught up and where we need to be, then let's vote on this next year.
That's why I voted for this 6.1499, is because it adds it puts us into a solvent position. Now, I know that's the limit. I know that's not what we voted on, that's not what we're putting in place. But principally speaking, discipline speaking, municipality speaking, residents should not be paying for the tourists to be here.
No, I agree with you on that. Like, in theory, I agree. I just don't think this is the time to do it.
I agree 100% that the tourist should pay for all of the expenditures that we have to pay now for them. We have a police department for the size of a city that has 50,000 people. A fire department, similar. Yet, we're not getting compensated for that.
Wastewater, stormwater, roadways.
Well, we get, that's its own enterprise fund, and that gets taken care
but
of.
it-
It's on
there's
it,
demand.
it's demand, but it gets taken care of. That has nothing to do with really our budget. Right. So, and I've said this for 15, 20 years, that we need to have some sort of way to get compensated for these tourists. Well, adding it to the general fund isn't doing it. That's just a shell game of money, although now it's coming out of our budget with no additional revenue. So if we were getting, say, $1 million, we'll just throw a simple number, $1 million a year from tourists, well, now we need $1,063,000 because we just added $63,000 to that budget, and we're not. We're not getting that extra $63,000 from anywhere.
We are,
We're not increasing anything.
What the increase from parking revenue this year?
The increase, it is what it is, and
You
that
said
goes.
We're not increasing. What's the increase from parking revenue this year?
The 63.
My point is, we are increasing, we're pursuing that, and we can pursue increases in revenue, and we can pursue ensuring that the revenue is coming from the right places. I think both are important, and I don't disagree with you. Everything you said is great.
I agree with, I'm saying that we need to adjust those revenue source
This is how we do
increments.
it. Yeah.
Well, okay, go ahead, Skip.
So from now on, any residents, because now that if we pass option one, that the tourists will, paying for all the trash cans at the end of the stub end streets and all these different places that you visit. So from now on, make sure when you go to the beach, bring a trash bag, pack it into the beach, with all your stuff, fill it up with trash, bring it home and put it in your waste management container. Don't put it in the one at the stub end street. That's for the tourists, okay? Otherwise, we're charging them for your trash. And I'm sure nobody goes to the beach and leaves trash in the trash cans or the dumpsters that are at the beach that live in the city of Cocoa Beach.
You make a good point too, Skip. Okay, so any more commission comment on this? So this is the vote for the, to separate option one. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion does not pass.
Option two, motion I just make.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment on this? All right. We already voted on the one that you wanted though.
We're not going back to option one.
We might.
It's fine, just to let you guys know. So FY 2024 recurring revenue was $79,697,958, $63,000. Basically, what you guys said is like, that 63,000 is 0.079% of the budget, just so you guys know. I mean, $20 is not a lot of money, 63,000, I know there's no going back now, but
I'd be open to revisit.
I can assure you that folks in the grocery store
math is there.
will remember if they find out about this, that, you couldn't cut them just a little bit of slack.
But as long
in
as
their
they
lives,
pack
so
their
that's
trash.
All right, thank you, Orson. We had someone else that wanted to get up and talk. Was that you?
Yeah, we had two gentlemen.
Or, yeah, whoever wants to speak there. Just state your name, address.
Thank you.
Excuse me, good evening. I'm Dean Ulrich. I'm the division manager for Waste Pro here in Brevard, not a Cocoa Beach resident. So first off, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to let us give our proposal. We're disappointed we were not selected. We did not receive the highest score. However, just a couple things I do want to point out. We did receive a slightly higher score on the technical approach, which is how we propose to service the city and all the residents and businesses. So the committee did give us a slightly higher score on that. Also, after all the scores were tabulated and our counterparts were selected by the committee, that's when the detailed price sheets were distributed. And so we have gone through and analyzed that, and even though we were not scored higher on the rate score, we believe that our rates were indeed lower than what was and therefore we feel we should have received a higher score on that. I know it was brought up that I thought I heard that Waste Management's proposal would be $30 under, this is under option 2, $30.51 per home, and ours is coming in at $29.65 per home. And so, in addition to that, we feel that the overall cost of the city, because there are some items where we're lower, there are some items where we're not lower. We recognize that, but when you factor in everything of all the price sheets that were put together, and we believe that under either proposal, option 1 or option 2, that our rates, our overall rates to the city are lower. And so I just encourage you to I guess before you make a vote, maybe have a discussion on that, or possibly even table it and have additional details, additional discussions that way. So that was my encouragement to you. And last thing, I just want to welcome the opportunity. If we want to discuss this in further detail, be glad to. And thank you again. And thank you for the opportunity for us to give our proposal.
Thank you for your comment. All right, any other public comment? Go ahead.
Good evening. Platt Loftus, Waste Pro, Florida as well. Thank you for these few moments here to speak before you. I'd like to kind of throw another idea or concept at you, if I may. One of the things, our main goal was to provide a rate that is lower than your current residential rate, which we finally did. When we ran our pro forma, we were like, we don't know if we can do this or not, but our residential rate was lower. And also, we wanted to supply or propose a different service option. Your current service option and your proposed service option with our competitor is ASL, which is an automated sidearm loader method, and it's also in conjunction with rear loaders. What we did is we proposed a completely different option, which is a very high level of service, which is a total, complete rear load residential option. And what that means is two men on a truck will be collecting your solid waste, your residential solid waste, recycling, and yard waste with each pass. With an ASL, that doesn't happen. That truck can only collect what's in that can. With a rear loader, you can collect what's in the cart or can, as well as what's on the side. And also that man or woman on the back of a truck with a rear loader can collect additional yard waste material. That's one thing that we've noticed here in Cocoa Beach throughout the years, and no knock on the city or staff, but we have seen an accumulation or an abundance of bulk items and yard waste, and we feel like this option would be the best option to collect this material weekly. Also, we propose running a claw truck once a week, every week, throughout the city versus having it on call or having it service the city every other week, which is also a better level of service. So at any rate, that was kind of our goal, was to produce or propose rather a lower residential rate and a higher level of service. And on that note, that's what we've done in your sister cities here in Brevard County. There are 6 other cities and towns here that decided to go with us, with Waste Pro, and we have provided this rear load service much to their happiness. They feel that this level of service is much more affordable and adequate for their residents. So that's really all I have to say. It's kind of a third way. It's a different way. I haven't heard much discussion about it. I believe the evaluation committee did consider it, but at any rate, we just kind of like to highlight our rear load proposal. That's all I have.
Thank you, Platt.
Thank you.
Wasn't quite on topic, but I appreciate your input and insight. Go ahead, Skip.
Yeah, I would just say that, we didn't advertise that we were going to receive sales pitches from Waste Pro and give Waste Management the same opportunity to re-pitch to us at this point. So the realization and the reason you have an RFP is for y'all to put all these thoughts that you just came up here and spoke on paper for the review committee to look at and to interview you guys, which they did, I understand. And they did the same with your competitor. That was the time for these kind of comments, not to come up here in front of the public and tell us that you're better than Waste Management after the fact, And I think it should feel a little embarrassing to you.
Are you done?
Yep.
Honestly, I don't mind your comments. I thought they were informative, but they were in the wrong section. They should have been under public comment, items that are not on the agenda. But again, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, commission comment. So we're
On option 2.
So we're on option 2 now?
We're on option 2. I would just
Okay.
urge the mayor to reconsider and not allocate costs onto residents that should not be paid by residents.
I would reconsider next year.
They're still paying it.
They're paying a portion of it. This reduces the portion.
Okay. All in favor
Of option 2?
of option 2?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes 3-2. All right.
Okay. Item 2, approve the review committee's recommendation to negotiate contracts with 6 out of the 10 companies who submitted qualifications for CB 26-001 to provide sanitary sewer, manhole, main line, and lateral rehabilitation services as part of the city's inflow and infiltration abatement program, SRF loan WW050640. The aforementioned 6 companies include Insidu Technologies LLC, Gulf Coast Underground LLC, Inliner Solutions LLC, SAC Construction LLC, BLD Services LLC, and Roland DE LLC. Costs will only be incurred for services rendered. Staff Representative Brad Calzo, Water Reclamation Director, recommendation approved.
Move to approve as read.
Motion and second. Any public comment? Any commission comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, item 3, adopt resolution 2026-12, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, relating to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, Clean Water State Revolving Fund, CWSRF, adoption of the City of Cocoa Beach Water Reclamation Facility Plan update, effective the 16th day of July, 2026. These projects are a fiscal year 2027 budget request. Staff Representative Brad Calzo, Water Reclamation Director, recommendation adopt.
Move to adopt resolution 2026-12.
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment? Would you like to speak, Brad?
Yes. Good
Thank-
evening, Mayor,
thank you.
Commissioners. One of the recommendations or requirements through the state revolving fund program is that we do have to present some of the highlights of the facility plan and the projects. So this facility plan was presented to you guys, I want to say back late last calendar year, but we only talked about the I&I abatement program project portion of that facility plan. So now we just want to address some of the projects that we want to get additional funding for. And we've been working with Mead and Hunt, our consultants, and Mr. Brad Blaze is here to highlight some of those projects that we're going to go after for funding.
Thank you, Brad. As he stated, this facility plan was presented, it was adopted. This is an update to that plan, and the I&I portions are the portions that you just approved the selection of contractors for, which is the SAFI supplemental appropriation portion, which was a loan that will be entirely principal forgiven on the entire amount of the loan. That was a previous item that you had. This, basically, in the record, we have to read in the other parts of the facility plan that can be funded by the low-interest loan through the state. So the additional projects that are described in the plan and that are intended to be funded at some point, depending on the request for inclusion that is applied for on that particular time, is WRF upgrades, clarifier rehabilitation, grit removal, system evaluation and replacement, generator replacements, injection well inspection and replacement, Reeves ground storage, Reeves transfer pumps, drum screen replacements, WRF valve replacements, disc filter replacements. The other items, the inflow is already addressed previously in the record. The additional collection system improvements that can be funded by the SRF loan, lift station upgrades, A1A sewer crossover, Port Canaveral sewage force main, Patrick Air Force Base sewage force main, reclaim transmission, automated manual valve replacements, reclaim water distribution system evaluation. The total of the projects that are included at this time that will be considered in this next hearing date are the Clarify Rehabilitation, lift stations number 8, 14, and 16 rehabilitation, Port Canaveral Force Main air release valve replacements, and stormwater pipelining. The total of those projects is $14.975 million, which would be pursued for the state revolving fund loan, which would be subject to repayment at about a 1% interest rate. So that is for the record. Any questions?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, item 4, approve the review committee's recommendation and authorize staff to negotiate a contract with Tetra Tech, who will be primary, and Debris Tech, who will be a contracted backup under RFP CB 26-010. Disaster debris monitoring services. Costs will only be incurred for services rendered. Staff Representative Taylor Matolo, Project Manager, recommendation approve.
Move to approve as read.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? Could we get somebody to explain a little bit of this
I can
to?
explain it.
Sure you can. Can we get somebody else to explain it? Thank you.
I talked about it earlier.
I know, I just want it more from staff.
So it is standard practice for municipalities to have both a monitoring and a recovery and removal contractor for FEMA reimbursement purposes. So the monitor will, like Skip said earlier, follow the recovery around and ensure that they are in compliance with FEMA reimbursement requirements. They submit all the paperwork and ensure that there's no conflict of interest.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted it for the public to hear. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, item 5, approve the review committee's recommendation and authorize staff to negotiate a contract with 5 of the 10 proposers under RFP CB 26-011, disaster debris removal and recovery, DRC, SDR, TRF, Crowder Gulf, and Garner. Costs will only be incurred for services rendered. Staff Representative Taylor Matolo, Project Manager, recommendation approve.
Move to approve as read.
Motion and a second. Any public comment?
Let me explain this one.
Yes.
I think they pretty much just did in their reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, item 6, authorize staff to negotiate and award a contract with Textron EasyGo LLC for golf cart replacement, CB 26-014, and execute a 4-year lease agreement with PNC Equipment Finance for an amount not to exceed $602,064, including a trade-in value of the existing fleet. Staff Representative Andy Segarra, Leisure Services Director, recommendation approve.
I move to authorize staff to negotiate this award contract.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, we are adjourned.